Hey everyone, it's Josh again. I know it's been a while since I made my last video, but I've just been a little busy with moving from my old house to my new place and getting settled in. But now that I am, I want to get to answering a couple questions that were sent to me via email and messages on YouTube and comments on YouTube. This video is not to disprove any of the teachings of the World Mission Society Church of God or anything like that, because there's various videos online already, and including the World Mission Society Church, examining the World Mission Society Church of God.com site, already doing that. So what I want to focus is on answering questions that were sent to me regarding things that happened within the church and how the church was inside, and also how you can help your niece or nephew come out of that church, family member, loved one, friends. What is my advice to you guys for them to be able to come out there? And I'm going to try to answer those questions to the best of my ability and to my knowledge. It's been a while since I have been in the church, so I really don't know what things have changed, but from my perspective, I'm going to explain of when I was there and what went on when I was there. I did get a question from Winston. His question was, Josh, regarding the funeral and what were you told, would you say this falls in line with what Ron claimed? It's not always what was said, but what was not said. Meaning, by quoting the verse, you weren't really told not to go to the funeral. What other things for influence and control in general terms could you identify based upon your experience? Now, it's not so much exactly what Ron said. What Ron said does have truth in it, but what was told to me was actually straightforward. Now, what had happened was I was in the sanctuary with a brother. He's a leader, and I approached this brother and I asked him, hey, today's my grandma's funeral and I want to go attend it. It was on a Sabbath day, so I told him, is it okay if I go? And then he told me, or quoted the verse from the Bible, what did Jesus say? Let the dead bury their own dead. So I pondered upon that question, or the verse, and it made sense to me at the time. So I asked him, so do you think I should go, or I'm better off to stay? So he told me, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I think I should stay here. And then he told me, he didn't say anything, and he just looked at me. And I'm like, well, is it okay if I go for just a few minutes? And he said, I think you already know the answer to that. So every time I would ask him over and over in a different form of if I can go just for a few minutes, he would tell me, in other words, no, you should stay here. This is where you need to be, keeping the Sabbath day, because by keeping the Sabbath day, you're being made holy, you're receiving blessings, and your spirit is resting, and so on and so forth. So I asked him, well, would you go? And then he told me, no. He said to me, no, I would stay and keep the Sabbath day. So it goes to show that, yeah, directly they told me, just stay here and keep the Sabbath day, and you're better off doing that. So that's just one of the things that they did. I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not, but when I approached the brother, high leader at the time, and pretty sure if he's still in there, he's still a high leader. He then, again, that's what was told to me. Also, I got another question from I'm Princess Pooh, and she asked me, do you have any suggestions on how I can persuade my niece to get out of this church? And now, when it comes to, not just this church, but churches that are just like the World Mission Society Church of God, it's kind of hard to bring your family member or loved one out of there. The reason I'm saying that is because whenever you try to bring the subject up to them, it becomes a very touchy subject, and they start to put their defenses up. So my advice to you guys is, whenever you try to speak to someone who is involved in like, for example, the World Mission Society Church of God or anything like that, never approach them, like if you're going to attack them. Even though sometimes you may not seem like you're doing that or coming off like that, the other person at the other end will feel like that. I'll give you an example. When I was involved in the World Mission Society Church of God, there were several times where my sisters and even my brother would tell me things about the church. And, as soon as they started talking about the church, I knew they weren't going to say anything nice about it because I already knew they were against it. So I automatically put my defenses up and just, started trying to counter anything that they would try to tell me. So when it comes to this subject, just speak to them carefully. And if there's two members in the church, and there's two members, either a brother and a sister, your son and daughter involved in the church, don't try to speak to them together. Try to talk to them separately, and in a calm voice, gently, and don't try to say too much at once, but just in bits and pieces here and there. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you speak to two people that are involved in the same organization, it's going to be hard to get. It's going to be hard to get through to both of them. You have higher chances if you're talking to one at a time, because if you speak to both of them at the same time, one is going to may be listening to you, but the other one's going to be like, hey, don't listen to her because she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know what's going on. And back to square one, the other person's just going to be not so much brainwashed, but their way of thinking is just going to go back to as before you spoke to them. So you have higher chances of them listening to you when you catch each and every single one of them alone. And again, when you do talk to them, be very careful with what you say, because even the slightest of word may trigger them to put their defenses up. And once you do that, I guess in a way, sayonara to them listening to you, and especially if they know that you're already against the church. Sorry, that was my sister. But my advice to you guys again, just be very careful when you speak to them, and just be as gentle as possible, and don't speak too much about it at one time, just in bits and pieces, and sooner or later you'll be able to see that they'll be thinking what you want to do is start to get them thinking. And once you start to get them thinking on their own, then they're going to start noticing things. Right now their mindset is just focusing on church and doing things that is heavenly to them, and what was told to them and what they need to do. There's several times, I really don't want to speak too much about myself, but I just want to give this quick example that there were several times where I would do things such as walk home from church almost at midnight and to my house, which was about a 1 hour walk because I would miss the bus. And my mindset was, well, I'm getting a blessing from father and mother because I'm sacrificing. Or there was another time when I was walking in the rain. It was pouring hard, and I had no right to go to the church. And they were having this preaching meeting, and I want to be a part of it because I wanted to receive blessings. So I didn't have an umbrella, so I just decided to walk in the rain, and I got soaking wet, and I got to the church soaking wet. And in my mindset it was, well, this is a father and mother, and I'm gonna receive blessings so that I can have a big room in the kingdom of heaven. So just again, right now though, if they're really involved in the church, their mindset is just in heavenly things and things that they can do so that they can receive more blessings and please father and mother. So when you talk to them, just do what you want to do is get them thinking, and then little by little, once hopefully what you're telling them will get them thinking, and you can take it from there. Let's see, another one that was there's another one that was sent to me. This is more of a quote that was sent to me, and it says, in Heaven's Gate, every student was to hate and renounce human attachments, in other words, worldly things. The group also feared specific external enemies, mainstream churches, families of members who were trying to communicate, former members who criticized the group, and the Luciferian forces. These things would distract the members from their goal. And this person asked me any comments, any similar soundings, and the answer is definitely yes. The church taught us to stay away from mainstream churches and in a way to fear them, because they would tell us, oh, if you go to this church, they're not following the teachings of God. You need to keep church on Saturday, not on Sunday. Only mainstream churches keep them on Sunday. So if you do go to a mainstream church, then you're not going to go to the kingdom of heaven, and you're not going to dwell with father and mother. As well as they would try to keep us from hanging out with our friends, because they would say, if you hang out with your friends, they don't know the truth. They're going to, plant a bad seed in your mind, and it's going to sprout, and you're just going to fall away from the truth, and you're not going to be able to rejoice in the kingdom of heaven with father and mother, and you're not going to receive any blessings, and you're just not, overall going to enter the kingdom of heaven. So they would say all these things. Another one was families of members who were trying to communicate with them. Yeah, that's true. If you have someone who's involved in this church and you try to communicate with them, just like I was saying previously, it's really hard to get through them, because just of the fact that they're so involved, and the church has been telling them, oh, don't listen to your family members, because they don't know they're talking about, because they don't know the truth, they don't know the love of father and mother, and so on and so forth. Everything was always the same answer. Don't listen to them. Just do what pleases father and mother, receive blessings, bear talent, go to the kingdom of heaven, and let's rejoice forever and ever with them, so on and so forth. That was their same answer for everything. And once they plant that will in your brain, it's going to be hard for you to break out of there. So yeah, they would, in a way, tell us to be careful with our relatives and family members, and what they would say with us to us. So yeah, this church has a lot of characteristics of a cult. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. Let's see. I believe there was another one. I just don't remember where it is. Oh, so this one was sent to me, and it says, my 21-year-old niece is heavily involved in the World Mission Society Church of God. She's in the Air Force stationed in Delaware, where she was first recruited. She is temporary on assignment at Edwards AFB, and has been driving to a World Mission Society Church of God church somewhere in the SoCal area. It may even be Reseda. I was wondering if you have any ideas or suggestions about how I might be able to approach her on this topic, since you have inside knowledge about how they operate and I do not. I would really like to see her out of the World Mission Society Church of God, so I would appreciate any insight you could provide. Then she goes off to say, thank you for posting your video, Josh. Well, again, this was sent to me by I'm Princess Pooh. And again, this just goes back to what I was saying earlier. Just be careful with what you say. I wish I can tell you guys exactly what to say, but everyone's different. And for me, what got me out of there was I was starting to think on my own. So you just have to start to get them to think on, not just things about the church, but also things about, physical life. Because most of their time they're thinking about the kingdom of heaven, and some members actually want to focus so much of their time that they don't find a job, and they're just there saying, oh, the world's going to come to an end soon, so why even bother looking for a job? I'll just focus on the gospel work and go to the kingdom of heaven with father and mother. So just be careful on what you say, and just try to get them thinking, and hopefully little by little, like I said earlier, don't say too much to them, but little by little, you'll see some changes. Well, that's all I want to say for now. I will hope this video is somewhat helpful. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I will try again to answer them to the best of my abilities. So just comment below, subscribe if you want, and I'll try to message you guys when you guys ever send me a message as soon as possible, and I'll try to make another video regarding anything that you guys have for me. So go ahead and throw me questions, ask me anything you guys want, and I'll post it up on YouTube and answer to the best of, again, my ability. So again, I hope this video is helpful to some of you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon.